Well, it's International Women's Day today, where thousands of events are held around the globe to inspire women and to celebrate achievements. Here on CNBC Africa, we're in discussion with regards to various topics, and we're playing host to many influential women across our shows today. But joining us here at the Open Exchange Desk to discuss how we can uplift women in our society, in fact, joining us from our Cape Town studios is Jennifer Williams, who's director at the Women's Legal Centre. Thanks so much, Jennifer, for joining us this morning. Are women's issues, gender-based violence issues specifically, given enough priority in your books?
I'd say the short answer is no. I think we have some good laws in place, but we're failing dismally in relation to implementation. And I think that the increased attention that gender-based violence has received lately is a good thing, but we need to translate it into concrete action to do something about what's going on and the levels of gender-based violence that women are facing in South Africa.
Jennifer, I want to be skeptical about, in a way, about some of the campaigns like the 16 days and so on. One gets the feeling that the people who would respond to such a campaign are not the people that the campaign is aimed at, if you see what I mean. And the causes of this kind of violence are so complex. And one wonders if the people who are involved in it take any notice. So what is the value of these one-off campaigns or several days campaigns, as opposed to, I don't know, ongoing programs and perhaps finding out more about the causes which are built into the way we do things, as opposed to occasional campaigns?
I would tend to agree that the campaigns are not the answer. I do think that they are a small part of the answer in that they do raise awareness. But it's far more effective to have a holistic, comprehensive approach to gender-based violence, which looks not only at changing mindsets and educating people, but also improving the criminal justice system and reducing secondary traumatization of victims, as well as supporting civil society that provides psychosocial services to victims of rape. And sexual offences.
Take us through some of the proposals, practically speaking, that have been put on the table, Jennifer, to address some of your concerns and to close these gaps moving forward, and what impact you foresee the initiatives like those having.
Well, there is already in place a Gender-Based Violence Council, and there's also been calls for a National Commission of Inquiry, as well as many campaigns ringing the bell and signing petitions. But I do think that what is necessary is leadership. We need strong political will, somebody to lead this process. We need to allocate resources to the implementation, for example, sexual offences courts. We could do a World Cup court in a couple of weeks, but we have been taking months to put in place sexual offences courts. And we need to make sure that we have a very strong sense within society that this is everybody's problem, and that it's not just for women to campaign, and it's not also for men to take up an issue without bringing women on board as well. And I think it's very clear that with the right political leadership, we can have an overview of the system, see where it's failing, close the gaps, allocate the budget, and then put things in place that actually do roll out. And of course, the underlying reason for the high levels of gender-based violence is always going to be patriarchy. And we need to be more aware of the roles that we allocate to men and women in society, as well as the backlash that when women do become more educated and independent, one could find that there is more gender-based violence within society because women are stepping out of their traditional roles.
Jennifer, you talk about leadership. Now, South Africa, in terms of parliament, and if we look at parliament as the leadership of the country, I think our parliament in terms of gender representation is possibly the best represented in terms of women in the world. We have a lot of female cabinet ministers, possibly more than anywhere else. We're not short of female leadership at the top. I know there are issues of glass ceilings in business and so on. What's wrong with our political leadership in this area?
I think when we talk about leadership, we should move away from quotas. I think both men and women, and it's good that we do have women equally represented there, but I think it's really a question of whether or not we're having a will to improve women's position in society and to bring about equality. So we're looking for leadership that actually requires dismantling patriarchy and undoing the inequalities in society.
Jennifer, just to,
as
sorry,
opposed
Jennifer,
to
just to,
which just becomes part of the system.
just to interrupt you there, I see what you're saying, but my point is that if there are so many women in leadership positions, why isn't their perspective of things coming through?
Well, that I think you'd have to put to the political leaders themselves, because I would say there is a sense of disappointment that the woman's role in the struggle hasn't translated into stronger prominence of women's issues on the political agenda.